Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. There is a lot going on today. We're going to start out with Vols. They've lost their entire secondary. That's really not an exaggeration. Georgia has a 5-star quarterback that's about to flip and leave them, and it's their big-time recruit. And then Paul Feinbaum has decided to poke the bear, and boy, did he ever. He's talking about FSU's fake outrage. So needless to say, there's a lot to get into, so I'm not going to mess around. I'm going to jump right into it. And I'm going to start out, let's start out with the number 1 QB, Dylan Raiola, and he may be leaving Georgia instead of sticking with them for 2024, and it's their big-time quarterback recruit. And we're going to start out with Steve Wiltfong. He has put in a crystal ball that he sees Dylan flipping from Georgia to Nebraska, which is kind of shocking. He has been committed to Georgia for a long time. He actually moved down to Buford, Georgia to play high school down there. You know, he's actually from Arizona, so he moved down there. His whole family, everything, has been to like half a dozen Georgia ball games. I mean, a big rooter of the Bulldogs. But he's taken a visit to Nebraska, and there's a bunch of people think he's going to flip. Here's another one right here, which is Chad Simmons. He has also put in a crystal ball for Dylan to flip to Nebraska. And there's a lot of Georgia people that think it's a done deal. They think he is leaving and not going to commit on the 20th, but he's actually going to flip over to Nebraska. And there's reasons why. And I had to write down a bunch of notes on this one. First of all, his uncle, Donovan, is actually the O-line coach at Nebraska. And, of course, Matt Rule is the head coach there now. And his dad, Dominic, actually played for Nebraska, and he's actually sketched on the wall over there. That's how good he was. So he's got a lot of reasons to want to attend Nebraska, which actually he almost committed to Nebraska, but wound up committing to Georgia. And it's also important to remember that Kyle McCord, who was Ohio State starting quarterback, is already committed to Nebraska as well. And he's got like 1 year of eligibility left. So I think what they're going to do, and it's pretty obvious, they're going to have Kyle McCord as their starting quarterback in 2024 and have Dylan Raiola would be their backup as a freshman. That would give him a chance to get his feet wet and all that because, you know, he's still a freshman even though he is a 5-star. So let's take a look at Georgia's recruiting class because this is going to have a big effect on it. And as you can see, he is their number 1 recruit. He's nationally number 2. Some people have him as number 1, just depending on which service you look at, but he's obviously their top recruit for Georgia. So that's definitely going to have an impact on them. They've got right now 3 5-stars, so that would drop them down to 2. Now, they'll still have a great recruiting class, but that really hurts them. You know, this is a guy that people think is going to be fantastic. Now, they do have one other quarterback that has committed, and that's a guy by the name of Ryan Puglisi, who is a low 4. Well, you know, he's a decent 4-star. He's ranked 205th in the country. So, you know, I mean, he's solid and all, but that's not what Georgia's used to. So that may be their quarterback that they get in this year's class, which is kind of surprising. You would think Georgia, well, it's kind of hard to go get a 5-star right now. This is really unfortunate for Georgia, which I know, believe me, there's nobody crying any tears for these guys.
Oh, that's a shame.
Given what's happened in them last few years. But this is really unfortunate to have it happen the last week. Had he done this 3 months ago, they could have gone and got another quarterback in this class that would have suited them. Because I really don't think they wanted to go into it with the 205th ranked quarterback. And look, he may end up being good or something. You never know. But that's not Georgia style. Although, crap, they had Stetson DoorDash Bennett. That was a heck of a quarterback and won them 2 national titles, or helped them anyway. So anyway, keep your eye on Georgia because it looks like they're about to have a huge flip, and there is some panic in Georgia. And like I said, a lot of them had kind of accepted the fact he's probably going to go to Nebraska. And it wouldn't shock me either because of the simple fact Nebraska really needs him. He's got the pull there, and they've got the NIL money, and Georgia's not going to get into a bidding war with anybody because they don't have to. They're Georgia. So anyway, that's what's going on there. Now let's talk about our Vols, which is my team. Their entire secondary has entered the portal just about, or they've run out of eligibility. And this is on Rocky Top Insider by Jack Foster. It says, examining the status of Tennessee's defensive back room amidst slew of outgoing transfers. Talks about 6 defensive backs have entered the transfer portal since the regular season concluded. And it says, more importantly, with no defensive backs having committed to Tennessee via the portal as of December 11th, which it's still early. They don't have a whole lot of folks to throw back there. Plus, there's a couple of really key people, which obviously Kamal Haddon is a really key person. You know, he's out of eligibility. And so is McCullough, who are both really good players and losing Haddon to that injury was really tough on our defense. He was really a dog back there, and he's going to be in the NFL. That guy's got that level of skill. So 6 guys gone. It shows you here Warren Burrell, Brandon Turnage. Obviously, those were guys who played quite a bit. Tamarian McDonald, he's a guy that played a lot. Danico Slaughter, he'd actually started 6 games and played in some because of Haddon's injury. And then, of course, Jack Luttrell and Deshaun Rucker, they didn't see a whole lot of time. They were pretty young. And it says Tennessee is losing 21 years of college experience among the other 5 defensive backs, and then talks about the 2 guys that are out of eligibility. What they do possibly have is Gabe Giudiolali. He may be coming back for another year. We'll see. We haven't found out for sure. I would think they'll try to keep him. Wesley Walker, he would be a 6-year senior, so he's a possibility. He did go through senior day festivities, though, so he may be done. Andre Turrentine, not terribly experienced, but he was a highly sought-after recruit. Christian Charles, we've seen him some. And then we're probably going to see a big youth movement, which would be talking about at safety, Jordan Thomas. Ricky Gibson, we've seen him already play some, and he looks really good. He was a big-time 4-star that Georgia tried to get. We were able to keep him. Jordan Matthews, everybody's high on him. I think I wouldn't be a bit surprised if those 2 guys were the starting cornerbacks. Could be Lawley, or it could be, like I said, either Jordan Matthews, Ricky Gibson. And also there's Christian Conyer, who was a big-time recruit out of Kentucky. He's a freshman, but again, you're talking about almost a sophomore at this point. He's been there a year. Very good recruit. Safety, John Slaughter, Christian Harrison, et cetera, and then a couple of walk-ons. And, of course, next year we've got Caleb Beasley coming in as a big-time recruit, Farouk, who's a safety, and then, of course, Boo Carter and Marcus Gorey. Those are 2 guys that could definitely help next year. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Boo Carter sees the field a bunch. That guy is sudden and quick, and he plays strong safety, which that's all about knocking the crap out of people, and he will flat do that. He will knock you silly. So I think we're going to be fine long term, but it may look a little bit funny in that bowl game because, look, we don't have our starting running backs. Both Jalen Wright and Jabari Small are not going to be playing in that game. So we're going to be seeing Dylan Sampson and Cam Seldon, and it looks like the entire secondary is pretty much going to be new, or a big-time youth movement. But it looks like our offensive line's coming back, our defensive line's coming back for the most part. So it almost feels like the coaches have focused on, okay, this is where we're good, keep all these people. The secondary, they're like, look, that's our weakness, it's our Achilles heel. It's just time for a rotation. It's just time for a youth movement. And I don't think they necessarily invited people to leave. I just think they probably told them, we're not going to try to keep you.
It's not you, it's me.
You're giving me the "it's not you, it's me" routine?
So make your decision. And it sounds like most of them are ready to go somewhere else. I know one of the guys is already committed to Georgia Tech. And it's not that they're bad players. It's just in the SEC, it's really hard to put a bunch of 3-stars back there and expect to be able to stop 5-stars and high 4-stars, especially against Georgia, Alabama, and really a lot of teams that really had their way with us in the secondary. So I think this is a move that's necessary and needed, and it's going to be a little rough at first, and we may struggle in this bowl game. Although if you're going to struggle against a team, it might as well be Iowa, who has a very weak offense, to say the least. They score like 16 points a game. But they do have a strong defense, and we still don't know about Joe Milton. Is Joe going to prepare for the NFL and the Senior Bowl, or is he going to play? And a lot of people would like to see Nico, obviously. If we're going to do the youth movement, let's just do it. You're going to have 2, not brand new running backs, but 1. You're going to have a whole new secondary. It's time to see Nico, in my opinion. But, we'll see. Joe will make his decision when he makes it. Now, lastly, we need to talk about our boy, Paul Feinbaum. This is on the website, Florida State Seminoles, by Steve Samra. It says, Paul Feinbaum believes the reaction from Florida State faithful after missing the college football playoff is unprecedented, and then he got kind of brutal about it. He said, really unprecedented, Feinbaum said, regarding the reaction of the Florida State fans. I understand all the things that have been said. I understand the frustration, but the complete and total reinterpretation of what college football and the playoff is about to me has been truly astonishing. He said, I never get too upset or maybe upset at all about what I read on Twitter because I realize those are people who can't get into your show or any other show, just expressing themselves, but more from just people in the industry, people who do understand how the college football playoff is developed and designed. To me, it is just complete and unadulterated fake outrage. It's part of where we are in society, where people without any facts, without any information, just gravitate to an issue, embrace it, squeeze it, and just regurgitate it, whatever the talking points are. He said, I'm glad we're not 8 days past it, but it's still out there. And I think it's one of those narratives that just simply gets created and never leaves. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. Now, that's a really good way to get on the good side of the FSU people. Oh man, they are going to be ticked.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Yep. He's made them angry. I promise you. That outrage is not fake. I'll just go ahead and tell you, I've read a ton of comments and I've covered some of this, and it's not fake at all. They're furious. They went 13-0, won every game they're supposed to win. They lost their first string quarterback and their second string quarterback. They were down to their third string quarterback, and they still won every game. And they're the only team since college football 4-team playoff got invented that has been undefeated and didn't get in, which is infuriating to them. Plus, they would have their backup quarterback in the playoff game, which is frustrating to them. He was out due to concussion protocol. And of course, it's all about their quarterback, Jordan Travis, getting hurt, which is really unfortunate because with him, they were very dangerous. But really, they're being penalized for that. And also, there are 2 one-loss teams that got in, which was Alabama and Texas. So that irritates Florida State. And here Feinbaum said, what if it were reversed? What if Alabama didn't get in? And he said, as far as Alabama, he said it'd be one thing if they hadn't done anything to get in. He said, they just didn't have the Jordan Travis situation, and we're going to hold them hostage for playing a very difficult schedule, talking about Alabama, and then dealing the biggest and baddest team in the country and beating them in Georgia. Feinbaum added, I just think it's a complete travesty to compare the two, obviously, is what he's talking about. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't think the FSU people are going to appreciate that one bit.
Haven't you noticed? You got to be a man to play in my league.
And I've already told you how I feel about the playoff system and all that. Going to the 12-team is going to solve all this crap that we've been dealing with now for years and years and years. First of all, the 2-team thing. Well, years ago, it used to just be whatever people thought. It was an opinion thing. Then we went into a BCS, which was 2 teams, which still was terrible. Then we went to a 4-team, which was better than the 2-team, but still awful because it just set you up for this type of crap. Now we're going to a 12-team where the first 4 teams get a bye. The second 4 teams get to play at home in sort of a playoff situation to play the top 4. And the final 4 just need to be happy they're in there. And you're not going to have any more undefeated teams not make it in or teams with 1 loss against quality opponents. They'll all get in. And if you're 13th, 14th, or 15th, that's too bad.
Shut up!
Yeah, there'll be people complain, but that'll just be what it is. So, folks, we're down to 8 days before signing day, early signing day. And Georgia's about to lose their top recruit and their quarterback, which is really tough. Tennessee's got to replace that entire secondary, and Feinbaum is stirring the pot big time. So I wanted to cover these issues. There's so much going on right now between the portal, recruiting, all this stuff, and this is mayhem time. These next 8 days, it just, you know what? Dalton, tell them again.
It'll get worse before it gets better.
That's right. It's going to get worse before it gets better. It'll start improving after the 20th because everybody will sign, people will calm down, and then a lot of the portal people will start picking and choosing because they'll have had their offers. So anyway, I did want to cover this. If you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover the NCAA and all these goings-ons. And if you've not subscribed, it's on your right, my left. This will help you get my videos, makes it super easy for you. And if you like all this type of coverage, and doesn't cost you a penny. And right over here's the most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.